Okay, you guys, so I don't know when I'm going to post this, but after I did the explosion card for the Spellbinders kit that I had just reviewed recently, somebody asked if I could do one for an explosion card, but for a Slimline, and I was like, oh, that's a challenge. So I'm going to show you that in just a second. So if I have any links in the description box, they will be affiliate links, which means I will make a small commission if you purchase any items through those links. Now, the reason I have this collection in front of me is because I wanted to review this collection because Sarah will be on, obviously, HSN, and this kit has been available for just over a week now. And then she has a peacock set coming out, which is going to be gorgeous, but that's not quite available yet. Well, I guess it depends on when you're watching this video. But anyway, if that's there, links will be there too. And I hope to get that myself. So I was like, an explosion card for a Slimline. So I should show you the piles of paper I have here. I had to go through, I don't know, 5 or 6 pieces of paper to kind of make it work, because the explosion card, let me grab the one. Oh gosh. Let me grab the one I did for the review that I did recently, and I'll show it to you in just a second. So this is a standard A2 size card, and I made it into an explosion card this way, right? So someone opens the card, oh, okay, but you know, like I said, if you want to orient it this way, I'll do this one oriented this way. So when it opens up, it just has a fun kind of feel to it, a little accordion, just fun stuff. Reminds me of like origami. So I did all these different ones. So as you can see, like these corners are turned in, you know, it's kind of straight. So I kind of started off with this kind of thing in mind. It wasn't really working out because a Slimline card is just so long and thin. It just looked weird. So I finally, after doing different folds and different things, you know, getting into my origami, you know, what I know about that, I came up with this, and it's simple, but I think it's going to be cute. So hopefully it'll work out for you guys, or what you think. So my Slimlines, I've always done, like I do them so often, like, you know, I just started doing them, but I've shown you guys how to use your Cricut to design your own thing and all these other fun things. Everyone's coming out with stamps and dies and all these things for it. I like mine to be 3.5 inches by 8.5. So meaning when you have a standard A2 size paper, all you're going to do is cut it at 7 inches, you know, because it's 8.5 inches wide already, and fold it in half, and there you go. This fits in your business size envelope. I had them sitting here, but I don't know where they are right now. Just a standard business size envelope, those larger ones. And I guess if you want to make a trifold, you can do that too. Just fold the other piece, but we cut it off, right? Instead of having that extra piece of cardstock, which I guess might be a new trend too, but that's a lot of card to decorate. So this is what I came up with, and hopefully you guys like it. It's simple, it's quick, but I'm telling you right now, and not that I'm like the biggest genius or anything like that, so maybe there's other things. It is really hard to do this and not have something sticking out or just not quite working. So this is cute. I think it's dimensional, it's pretty, and I think it's pretty easy. So hopefully you guys like it. Look at that. Ooh, it looks so cool. I actually kind of like it just like this. I was like, maybe I should decorate this one because it's already there, you know? But we'll start from scratch so you guys can see. So then I thought, well, you know what? I have this stuff to review. I might as well do that. So I think what I'm going to do is probably do some kind of, you know, just a basic paper from the kit here, topper on here. So again, the vintage Christmas collection from Crafter's Companion. I can put it on here and maybe do some of the letters and then try to make a poinsettia or two. I was looking at this and it looks like they used the foam, but at the same time it's hard to tell. It looks kind of velvety. I don't know. So I'm going to use this and see what we can do to make some kind of topper, and then obviously we'll open it up and have some pretty paper and see what's up. I'll probably use the cream color because I really like the way it looks anyway. And something popped into my mind right now that I was going to show you and I forgot. Oh, is it here? No, where are they? I will, oh, no. Oh, did I throw them away? I was going to say I was going to show you some of the other designs I was working with before I came up with this one. Let me see if I can find them. I'll be right back. Oh man, yeah, I threw them away. So some of them, you know, were more involved. It's some things, if it's hard to explain, that's not fun. It was just, and I have a bunch of papers written down, the sizes, because it worked for that size, it didn't work for that size. It doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to bring over a piece of cardstock. This is some heavy duty cardstock, I think from Hobby Lobby, and just cut again 8.5. Your paper's already 8.5 inches wide, and cut at 7 inches, okay? And I'll be right back and we'll get started with this part. Okay. So standard A2 size sheet, I just cut off that, so it's 7 inches by 8.5. And we're just going to score it. I'm telling you, I was doing this stuff late last night. And now I'm like, where's my scoreboard? Ay, ay, ay. Okay, I'm going to use this one, but I'm going to have to turn it around. I'll find my scoreboard in a minute because we need that. And so we're just going to score this at 3.5, of course, on the 7-inch side, not the 8.5-inch side. So 3.5. Just to there. And we have our Standard card. Usually I butt that against the edge of my thing so I know it's still nice and straight, but oh well. Okay, so that is our Slimline card base. So, as you can see, I have all these notes, changing the numbers. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, I wrote this. Okay, you know what? Then I adapted it. Same thing. Like before, it would have these little things sticking out. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so what we need is a piece that is 6 3/4 by 7 1/2. I want to make sure that's right because that doesn't sound right to me. Because I remember thinking, I think I did 8 1/2, but no. Okay, so let's look through this gorgeous paper, and I hope that's the right sizing. Don't want to gouge this paper. This paper pad is really pretty. Whenever they bring out more, I'm going to grab more. Because, I mean, look at that. I mean, think about for a scrapbook page, too. It's really well done for that. Look at this. So pretty. There's just so much. I don't even know. I kind of wanted to use this one. Are they the same on both sides? No. Ugh, this, it hurts me. I know you guys are thinking the same thing. You're gonna cut that? Yeah, I'm gonna cut it. It is so pretty. And it's all just the, there's nothing special in here as far as like effects or anything that I see, but it's just very pretty paper. I mean, this is just gorgeous stuff. And it is a little bit thicker, so that's why it's gonna work for this. Okay. So, we want a piece of paper, like I said, that is, I hope this is right, 6 3/4 by 7 1/2, only because I wrote 8 1/2 over here, but that was the earlier number, and then I decided to do something different, so it should work. Actually, I'll figure that out right now. This is what happens when I decide to make things up myself. See, that's 8 1/2. That's 8 1/2 by 6 3/4. 8 1/2, guys. I knew it. Okay, 6 3/4 by 8 1/2. All right. So, and I also want some of this, and there goes my mailman. Oh, maybe he brought me something good. I also want a piece of this, because it's 12 by 12 paper, so we're going to be able to get more than one cut on this for like the front of my card, and I don't know if I want... I was thinking about maybe that'd be cute if that was inside the pop-up part of it. So let's do our 6 3/4 off this side. And I'll use this bottom part for the front of the card. So 6 1/2, 6 3/4 on this side, and then we'll cut a piece for the front later. Okay, so I'm gonna save this for later. And then I'm gonna eyeball this. I need 8 1/2. So this is 12, right? So I need to cut off 8 1/2. That's 3 1/2 inches. And if I were to split that between these two, 3 1/2 inches, that's 1 1/2, 1 3/4. Okay, so I want to take off 1 3/4 off each end. 1 3/4. And if you don't want to do that because you want to have a piece of paper that's, you know, the 3 1/2 that you can use later, then do that. I want this little piece in here, and I don't even know if it's going to be centered because the way it needs to be cut, it doesn't matter. And 1 3/4. Yeah, it's not super centered, but I just wanted that, knowing that it might be in the middle there. Okay, so 6 3/4 by 8 1/2. I'm gonna get my scoreboard and we're gonna score this up. Okay, I found it. I found all my other ones. I was like, I don't think I threw them away, but yeah. So it went from more drastic and like different things, and then changing the size. So I cut pieces off. You see how these pieces are sticking out? So, which is what happens with the explosion card anyway. But if they tuck those back in, it just didn't give you a lot. Like this, if I open this, that's not the biggest deal. I mean, it's just like a little bit of something. You know, this one's very simple. It works. You like this one. This was very simple. This one was too long because I was like, oh yeah, it needs to be by however big, you know, when we fold it. And even if we fold these corners in, you can't fold the corners in now because you have this other crease, and it was just craziness. So I found them. All right. We have our 6 3/4 by 8 1/2. Now we are going to fold this in half along the 6 3/4, right? So to fold that in half properly, that's the inches side. Okay, great. So at 3 3/8. So hopefully you have a board that has those eighths. If you don't want that, you can do 7 by 8 1/2. and then fold it at 3.5. I just don't like that sometimes when you have the exact same number as your card, it'll stick out a little bit on the edge of the card. So I make it a little bit smaller. That's why I do 6 3/4. But if you don't want to work with eighths, then just do 7 and then do 3.5, right? Score it at 3.5. But I'm going to score it at 3 3/8. And so this is the part I want facing me when they open the card, so that's why I have it like this, okay? So now we're gonna go ahead and fold it, and this is the easiest way that I like to do this, but you do whatever you like. This paper is a little bit brittle, I can see that. Right there, kind of did its funny thing. Okay, so we did that, now we're gonna turn it sideways. And remember, this is 8.5 inches wide, so we're gonna mark at 4 1/4. So I find the center, and I'm just gonna put little marks. If you saw my other explosion card, you kind of know what I'm doing. I'm putting one little mark right here, but I'm also putting a mark 2 inches in off of either edge. So 2 inches in right here, I'm gonna put a mark, and then I'm gonna turn it and put a mark, but it's just easier for me to do it this way. I just want a little tiny mark. It's not the biggest deal, to be honest, but okay, 2 inches. So on either side we have a mark at 2 inches in, and then we have the one at 4 1/4, which is right in the middle of your 8.5. So now, just like the other explosion, I'm going to find that dot, that little mark I made, and I'm going to line this up on my scoreboard so that the point, so we're going to make this big fold, or crease line, sorry. Okay, nicely creased. Again, I'm going to take that same and turn it the other way and find the very edge of this corner to corner. Again, from that dot all the way down, straight as you can. It's not the biggest deal. No one's going to notice that, you know, it's not perfect, but you do want to get it as straight as you can. We're going to do the same thing from that 2-inch mark, that little 2-inch dot, little dot, right to the very corner. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side, where my little 2-inch dot, I can feel it, down to the corner. And I promise you, this is not hard. So I'm gonna move this to the side. And all we're gonna do now is, on the very main ones, the ones that went crisscross, like from the middle all the way out, right? Not the 2-inch marks, but the 4 1/4 inch mark. We're going to find those and just give them a fold, like a nice bone fold. So I just kind of eyeball, not eyeball, because obviously we have a score mark, but find those marks. You're going to fold all of them, but it's easier if we get these longer folds done nicely. You see, I kind of babied it until I found it real well. Okay. So we're back to the middle, and then we do the other opposite, going in the opposite direction. Again, the ones that went from the center to the very edge. And it's not a square. So with the other one, it was easy to do because it's a square, and you're like, oh yeah, I just got to fold it this way, and you know, it's not going to be even. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm keeping my eye out for. It's not an even square, so you have to kind of eyeball this and make sure that your score marks are going where you need them to go. Now it's a little bit crooked, but I'll bring it over. Okay. All right, so now you have this kind of a thing. Again, just like the original explosion card, it just kind of wants to come in. And just like the original, you have these little things that poke out that you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with these? Well, that's what those other score lines are for. The other score lines we did. You're gonna open this up. I know they're hard to see, but the other score lines are here, right? At the 2-inch mark. So these guys, all we're gonna do is fold them back. And I hope I'm not losing you guys, because this is easy. It's just, you know, but they're kind of hard to train because you're already kind of folding. So I just kind of fold them back. And as you see, I'm just, that's why I said give yourself a good score when you do that, so you can find your lines. And this one's not, there we go. Okay, so now it has that cool sharp look. Same thing on this side. We're just going to fold them back away from us on those score lines. If your score lines aren't deep enough, just go and do them again. Okay, don't fuss with it, just do them again. This paper is really nice, because I was wondering, I'm like, is it like layering paper? No, it's not as thick as cardstock, but it's almost as thick as cardstock. Okay, you see what I'm doing? I'm bending it backwards on that area. So it looks funny, and it looks like a little samurai hat, and it looks like this is going to be a problem, but this is not, I promise you, a problem. It is actually really cool. So that's what happens right there. Boom, that's it. Okay, So if you need to go back and watch those again, I would recommend to do that. And then I can bring over my card and see how it tucks in here nicely. You know what I'm saying? You have a little edge, but again, if you want to make yours 7 by 8.5, go for it. It's going to bring it out a little bit more, and then sometimes it even pokes out completely. So I just like to give it a little room, and then it's going to glue down like this. Again, if you want to do any distressing, inking, all those things, do them. I would have done it before I did all the folds of score marks, but this paper is so decorative and cool on its own, I don't need to do anything. And so I'm just going to put glue to the very edges. Now this glue, you guys know it's new to me, I've been using it just recently, dries very fast, and I love that, but it dries very fast and it might be difficult for you to use. So, I put glue on both sides because that's what I prefer to do. If you want to glue down one side and then glue down the other, that's up to you. But again, this is kind of like when you add a pop-up in the center of a card, it wants some room, it wants to be pushed back out. So be careful. So what I do is I'm eyeballing this, I'm kind of looking at the bottom, like where is the middle? I guess if you wanted to mark the center, you can do that. I'm just looking at this and kind of seeing where that wants to be. See, I'm kind of keeping it straight here. I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to close this, and that kind of pushes the card base forward a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to put some weight on this and leave it alone for like 5 minutes. I'm not even going to try to open it. Okay, so I'm going to put the marquee on top of this. And that is our card base. That's the most difficult part. When we come back, we're going to start cutting and we'll go from there. I figure while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm just going to stick this down too. And this is just cardstock from that same page, cut down to 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. They're both sides are really pretty. Ugh, I kind of want to go with more, you know me. So I'll use this side. I don't even know what I'm going to do yet because I don't know what the flowers are going to look like or what any of that. And I'm also using a dry adhesive, so I don't have to wait for it to dry, but I might as well put it on here while we're waiting here. And if you like smaller matting around the edges, then cut your paper a little bit bigger. Again, this is 3 1/4 by 8 1/4, but you can do like 3 3/8 by 8 3/8, I suppose. Look, that's so pretty already. Okay, I'll be back. I have a nice mess here going. I need to save my instructions. You know what? I'll put it on my blog too, just so you guys will have that written down, because sometimes that's just what it has to happen. Maybe I'll do it for both explosion cards. The other one, I don't know. I feel like the other one was easier to explain because it's a square, you know. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting out some of these pieces, and I always like red and like a deeper red together for flowers like poinsettias, so I'm just going to do that. I'll probably just leave it flat. You know, it's just something that we have to do because the inside is, well, I guess both parts of the card are really nice, but let's open this guy up. And I want to see what the dies look like. Okay, so let me see. So they put just one layer of each, it looks like. Maybe a couple layers of the background one. I don't know if I just want one layer of each thing. Just like I said, to keep it simple. So maybe I'll go deep, lighter. Oh no, there's 4. Okay, so that's good. So deeper, lighter, deeper again, and lighter or brighter, I guess, really again. So I'm going to tape these down, cut them out real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, I do want to show you when I cut these out, and I just realized I needed to move my marquee to do this. They do have embossing, but the embossing, if I had run it through with foam, that would be fine. Or you're going to have to run it through your machine, you know, with your embossing mat, because otherwise it didn't really go through. So what I'm going to do on these guys is just real quick add a little bit of color. And this one's called Plum Jam. It's hard to tell. This Plum Jam is kind of in the red family, but it's also kind of purple. I don't know which of these blenders I should use, but I'm just going to take a little bit of that and just get that on there. There's just some quick dried ink. And then I'm going to clean these off, obviously, because now there's ink all over my dies. But that just gives a little something, because otherwise, again, if I want to run it through again, I would do that. But that just gives it a little something. I'll do it to all of them. Okay, and then I realized we need the centers, and I have this little gold piece of scrap paper next to me. Actually, maybe I'll use some more, because there's 2 of them, and I was like, maybe you should layer both of them up. So what I'll do is I'll cut this one out, and I'll cut this one out. I just have scraps of stuff here, so I'll tape that down, cut these both out, okay? But for now, let's bring these guys back. So we just have our centers, flowers, and again, I always like to give things a little shape. You don't have to do that, and I don't, you know, I don't know how much shape I want to give this, because when it goes in your card, it's going to flatten out anyway. But I do like crinkling them with water. You guys know that. So I'm going to go through and shape these up real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have that. I'm going to put a little dot of glue. And, okay, Mama. I like to do once every other one. Mandaloo, I'm recording. I'll put another one here. And the last one. Again, you don't have to be that, you know, I'm just like one and then the other and the other. If you want it to look more organic or add more layers, however it is that you like to do it. And then we're going to do some leaves anyhow. And I'm going to cut these little gold pieces out and I'll stick the little gold centers in and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trim out some of these things. I do have these little berries. They're kind of cute. I don't know if I need all that. Oh, by the way, let's try this guy out. See? So pretty. And then you can put your own little tag in here, cut it out, you know, write your sentiment, or just leave it like this, put another sentiment in here. I mean, obviously you want to decorate the inside too, even though it's already really pretty. This feels really nice and sturdy. So there's that. Yeah, I'm not going to use those. I guess I'll just use these. So I have some scraps of green paper left over from a couple days ago project. I'm going to cut these out and then I'll just get some green ink just like I did with the other ones and just kind of go over the top with some green ink. As you can see, I did the little gold centers there. And in the meantime too, all the kids are here, you know, they're downstairs, they're eating lunch, so I'm probably going to cut out one of these sentiments with the backing plus the words. And I'll show you what that looks like. So all the sentiment sets in here, and you know, they actually call this a card bundle, which is interesting because there's no like just plain paper, so I don't think you'd just make a card with the printed papers, but if there was some like red paper or gold paper, then I say, okay, that's a card making bundle, right? But it says card bundle. So you have your blackout plus you have the thin lettering, so you have the lettering and then this guy. And I'll probably will do a blackout. Or, yeah, I think so. Just so it stands out because it's already so busy. So when I come back, I'll have those things cut out and these things inked up and ready to go. Real quick, I do want to mention, if you want to ink these up before you cut, that'd be great too. Because otherwise you're going to have to manage them as they don't fall out or if they do fall out. But if you ink it first and then pass it through, that's just another way of doing it. And I'll be right back. And if you do ink up before you run through, just make sure to wipe off the back of your die before you put it in here because it will put ink in there, and then maybe you transfer to the next thing, which I just learned and I totally forgot. I even told myself too in my mind. I was like, okay, you're gonna clean that off. I love how well, obviously it came out so perfectly, but the eye is attached to the M there at the top. Let me get this out. Come on, little buddy. All right, there we go. Look how pretty that is. Okay, so the reason I came back to is always to say that to clean it up, but always just to show that tip. And this is nothing new. It's nothing I came up with. And people are always like, "That's so great, thank you." No, I've seen, you know, we've been doing this for a long time, and so it's something crafters have been doing for a while. It's not something I came up with at all. So I'll just dab, 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 trying to get some of that goodness all over, at least on the very edges. And I'll very carefully try to lay this in here. I don't exactly know. That looks pretty good. Woo! That was pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit and then we're gonna put everything together. Okay. So, I have not thought about this at all, so let me see what this is gonna look like. Did cut a lot of leaves though. I think that's gonna be our saving grace here, because what happens with the Slimlines is that you do have a lot of real estate to kind of go this way and that way, right? Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll even put some... But that set's really cute because it has those little berries and everything else that you can kind of put under there. Let me see here. Let me put this guy down here. Throw something there and then a little something here. Okay, well, we'll do something like that. So I think what I'm going to do is stick this one down first. And if I'm going to put those leaves, then I'll do that too. So let's leave those guys there. A gal here said what she does whenever she plans it out and then she's going to go stick them down. I know that like they move, or obviously we have to move things off. She takes a picture of it with her phone so that she can have an idea of exactly where she wanted those things back. which is a nice idea. It's gonna be somewhere like here. Okay. And I'm keeping this flat just because the flower has dimension, but if the flower was also flat, I would probably pop them both up with something else. With some dimensionals. So I'm gonna hold this till it's set up. I'll be right back. Okay. I'd probably put 2 layers of the biggest one underneath because I like it for it to look a little more full. But since I did not, I'm just gonna do that. I should probably use something that's more substantial for glue. A lot of stuff going on here, a lot of ideas. Alright. And I can't really tell which one's up or down with these. Probably that way, right? So it goes out. So I'm trying to make it longer and longer, like trying to take up the same amount of width, you know? So with the little flower, with the little leaves. So we have about maybe an inch or so on the edges. Oh my gosh. I don't know why it's getting harder. Somebody had said that too, that as she got older, it was harder for her to pick things up. Like right now, I'm like... Is that enough, or do I need another? Let me see what that looks like on the camera. There's too many going that way. I'll stick it down a little bit lower. Maybe that way it'll be there, but just kind of tucked out of the way. All right. Okay, and that's my card. So again, we have lots of things in here we can play with to decorate the inside. And then, like I said, get yourself a little, you know, just a little die cut or something, or just, you know, oval, a nice little rectangle, maybe something that's shaped kind of pretty, and that's where you would write your sentiment. And then add in a bunch of stuff. If you want to add in some of these flowers to pop up here, I would stick them on this side, right? So kind of pay attention to how big and how much sticks out and how much might get squished in here. So you have some room to kind of let some hang off. And then when it opens up, that little flower will be kind of hanging here, maybe another one up here somewhere. So just pay attention. You do have quite a bit of room though. So hopefully that was fun for you guys. Thank you so much for the suggestion, and I hope that worked out. And if you happen to use this, please give a shout out back to this video, because I know I don't say that very often, because obviously we share our ideas and I don't care. But this took me, you know, at least a few pieces of paper that I had to throw away that are just trash now, and some time to come up with the math and everything. So I really would appreciate if you were to do that. Just like when I showed you guys the other, this one here, I did say that I had seen that on a Anna Griffin kit, and I thought that was really cute. And then she said she saw it from a friend of hers that sent her a card that was like an explosion card, and she asked her how she did it, and then basically did this thing, you know. So yeah, so just pass it along, the good vibes, and I would appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much. Links in the description box. I am in love with this. This is fun. It's fun. All right, guys. Again, this is a Snare A2. This is your Slimline. Anna Griffin had the information for like a 5x7, which basically you can follow along the tutorial for this card. And I think you just have to start off with a 10-inch square piece of paper and then just do the same kind of. There's not a lot of measurements in this. It's just basically halves, 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 you know. So, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next one. Bye now.